There was really like a kind of anti-chick sentiment, I think, in the 60s. It was a very macho thing. I mean, you know, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles even, and, you know, the girls were the girlfriends and the boys were the musicians, and that's the way it went.
Punk rock gave me a platform to put a band together and do it my way. And that was good for an 18-year-old kid. At the time, I think it was pretty much unheard of for a girl at that age not to just be a groupie in somebody's band.
Some people say about punk rock that it was sexually liberated. And it was in a way insofar as that at the clubs that we all used to hang out at, there were girls there who had an attitude and who wanted to get groups together as well as the guys.
When some of the bands rang up and they were girls, it didn't register, didn't make any difference to me whatsoever. The question was once again, are you a punk band? Yeah, well, come and play.
Actually, the beauty of the scenario was that the punk movement was pretty much open to whoever wanted to be a part of it.
That was the beauty of punk. When punk came along, it seemed to be, if I was going to use one word to describe what punk was about, it was, well, maybe this is two words, non-discrimination. You couldn't, you know, you wouldn't say, she's okay for a girl, or he's, you know, let's get him in the band, he's black. You know, it just wasn't done.
It was for anybody, and that meant girls as well. So in that way it was liberating, because we're all on the same boat.
A lot of bands had girls in the scene. They weren't treated like rock and roll sexist objects on any level. I mean, except for, you know, we were all teenagers having sex with each other. But other than that, it was pretty cool.
When I was doing X-Ray Specs, I was working with a lot of boys. There was a girl in there, Laura, but she wasn't in it for too long. But most of the time I was with guys, and I was the band leader. And I felt at the time I had to be quite assertive. And I didn't really want to just sort of, you know, you've got to keep boys at bay when you're working with them. You do, and you can't dress too. If they're going to take you seriously, you don't put the makeup on every day. You don't sort of like flutter your eyelashes and, oh, you're going to work me ham tonight, honey. It's not like that, and because it's serious, because I'm working with them, I've got to tell them how to play guitar, where to come in on the drum solo. And so therefore I did adopt a slightly tomboyish look and stance, basically, and I carried that through into the visuals as well.
I think it was probably one of the first looks and attitudes to come along to empower women. And I know, I felt so powerful and strong walking out on the street. Nothing frightened me.
I think Siouxsie Sioux had a very, very strong, if not even cold, sort of Germanic image, you know, not really very warm. But definitely she had a lot of stage presence. I think she was quite a powerful performer.
Are you singing?
Yeah.
Had you sung before?
Not on stage, no.
Did you think that was important?
No.
I mean, it was very unusual for a girl to do that at the time.
All it needed was one person to do it. And then kind of gradually the floodgates opened, and it's like, oh, a girl can play bass, you know. Maybe she can play drums, you know. Who knows what else she can do.
I think the New York thing had started out with, say, Patti Smith with her, you know, men's tie and black jacket and her little look. That was a very original thing, and I think people really responded to that with her, and especially in the beginning. You know, that she was sort of androgynous, and she sort of had her Keith Richards hair and this very strong look for a woman especially.
They were very unusual and severe-looking women at the time. I mean, Pat had very short hair, was almost androgynous looking.
Patti Smith was a big thing because she was the biggest star of the scene.
I'd seen a lot of women get up on stage and look pretty and sing and have, you know, pleasing qualities to their voice and do the whole vamp thing. But Patti was, you know, kind of scrawny, and she didn't really try to look glamorous, and she had more power than any of those women. She had more to say. She was more exciting. She had the kind of power that the men had.
Not only was Patti Smith a very groundbreaking artist that really, you know, I'm sure she would deny it had anything to do with being a woman. But obviously that's what made her very unusual.
Patti Smith is really interesting to me. I mean, because she's one person who sort of really predates punk as far as like being an artist, doing performance and doing writing, but at the same time she really informed punk to such a degree. And so she's very significant in the way she comes in, because she didn't really ever buy into any of the overexcited trappings of punk rock when they started happening at full run in the 70s.
Her bringing in all these different elements and kind of playing the role of a man and a woman in one, not changing the lyrics. If she sang a song that was written from a man's point of view, not changing the lyric to that. And then when a lot of the British groups came along, it really, I think, the British women really got inspired to say, we can start a band, we can do that. So a lot of these bands like the Slits and Penetration and Raincoats later came, there were quite a few. So that really brought a different voice into pop music, or rock music, whatever it is, that was just very different.
The idea of a girl band, I can understand, was yucky because that's exactly the problem, that girls were always put together in a very fabricated, sort of pretentious way, where usually a man is behind it, telling them every move what to do. And we're like the first girl band ever to build ourselves, to manage ourselves, to create ourselves, to make our own music with our own artistic control. And to the first girls to pick up our own instruments without any kind of input from anyone else. So that's what made the Slits so unique.
As soon as a record came out in England, somebody had it, or somebody, we heard it, and everybody was listening to them. We were all listening to Polly Styrene, and she was great. I loved her.
I'm very glad that women kind of felt empowered when I did that kind of strong woman thing. Although I feel a bit embarrassed about it now, because it's like I felt like I really suppressed a lot of my femininity to do that. But because obviously we all of us, we've got feminine and masculine sides to our personalities, whatever gender we are. But sometimes it's necessary in a man's world to be strong as the guys, if not even stronger.
I mean, there weren't really any girl bands around, so there was us that started, and then you got Polly Styrene, you got the Slits, you got Gay Advert playing bass, and ironically, I think all those people had a hard time getting a deal or getting signed. I think. I know we did, and I know the Slits did, because the industry found it totally unacceptable that women could run around looking and sounding like that and with that attitude.
Music and art just come through and expresses sort of a mass consciousness of what everybody's thinking, and then some people that are writers or artists are able to articulate it for everybody and then put it down into song or poetry or whatever, or art or film, and then everybody goes, wow, that's great. But that's because they were already in that mindset anyway.
Polly Styrene from X-Ray Spex to me was another really great unique original artist who just no precedent really for a person like her. Where else would she fit in? She wasn't going to be a glamour queen. She wasn't going to be, anything that you would imagine. She was this girl with crazy hair and braces, but singing great and writing great songs. And, it was a very creative time.